Good morning, class. Today we're going to be learning how to advocate for yourself in your high school classrooms. Sometimes you will encounter teachers who are unable to help you or do not know that you have an IEP or simply have forgotten. It is important for you to know how to ask these teachers for your accommodations, and this is why self-advocacy is so important. Think about this scenario. There was a test announced about a week ago, and you had decided at that time that you could manage to write the test in the class time provided based on the topics the teacher had said would be covered. At the start of the period on the day of the test, you change your mind and decide that it would be smarter of you to take the advantage of the extra time that is on your accommodations on your IEP. You tell your teacher that you would like to use the extra time she initially offered, but she says it's too late for such a request and tells you to sit down and write the test within the time provided. What do you do? Do you just write the test and fail? Do you go home and complain to your parents? Do you get angry and walk out of the room? No. There are steps for you to follow to get what you need. In this situation, you should follow these 10 steps and you will be able to get the accommodations you need. Perhaps not every single time, because each situation is different and it always depends on the circumstances. But these 10 steps will help you. Step 1. Embrace your exceptionality. Unless you let go of any shyness or embarrassment you have about your exceptionality and your IEP, you won't be able to fully use your accommodations to help you succeed. Now this is because every time your teacher offers you your IEP accommodations, if you're embarrassed about your IEP, you automatically, whether it's subconscious or not, will not want to use them. It is important not to let this get in your way. Your IEP is there to help you and you must use it. Know your accommodations. Now, we've already looked at our IEPs, so we should already have written down what our accommodations are. Looking at your IEP and knowing your accommodations will help you because you cannot just assume that you are entitled to all the accommodations just because you are taking GLE or GLS with Mrs. Deer. Your accommodations are based on your specific learning style and are specifically for you. Therefore, just because somebody else has a specific accommodation does not mean that you do as well. Be sure to know the accommodations that are available to you on your IEP. Knowing your learning style is very important. Now, this is something we've already done this year, so everybody in this room should know what their learning style is. Everybody in this class should know what their learning style is. We've written paragraphs on it, and we've done multiple intelligence stations on it. Make sure you know what your learning style is, because this is why those specific accommodations are helpful for you. For example, if you know that writing things down and following along in class at the same time is hard for you, then you should ask for hard copies of the notes. This accommodation should be outlined in your IEP. And if it's not, but you think that this would be helpful to you, just know you can always come see me, Mrs. Deer, and I will make sure this accommodation gets put onto your IEP. Practice what you want to say to the teacher is step 4. If you know you need to speak to the teacher today about something you'll need in her class, whether it's for something next week or for something today or tomorrow, practice in front of a mirror. This is something we're going to try in this class, not in front of a mirror, but we are going to practice what to do in specific scenarios. Practicing can boost your confidence and be helpful to you because you'll know what you need to say when the time comes. Step 5. Use a polite, friendly, but professional voice. You don't want to be rude, but you also don't want to sound too soft. You want to make it clear that you know what your rights are without sounding whiny or demanding. You must be professional. The teacher must know that you know what you're talking about, but not think you're being rude. It is important to be polite because the teacher is there to help you. Step 6. Remember that body language matters. Be careful not to cross your arms because that looks rude, aggressive, or closed off. Try to smile. Frowning makes it seem like you are whining or accusing the teacher of something. Maintain eye contact with your teacher so he or she knows that you are concerned about your learning and want to take responsibility for it. Don't let your teacher think that you are there to whine or complain or accuse her of something. Look directly in her eyes when you're speaking to her. Don't slouch or put your head down. Sit up straight and be professional. Remember, you are learning how to advocate for yourself in school right now, but eventually you will have to advocate in the real world as well. Be ready to compromise. Remember, if you give a little, you will get a little. But if you give a lot, you will receive a lot. Your teacher needs to know that you are serious about your work and that you're not using your accommodations or your IEP as an excuse for procrastination. That would be abusing something that is there to help you. Which means if you are waiting until the last minute to do your work and then you don't complete it on time, that doesn't mean you deserve extra time. What it means is you need to be put on a timeline. So asking for extra time at the last minute is an unfair expectation. We must remember, if you are going to ask for extra time at the very last minute, you must be willing to promise that it will never happen again and then live up to that promise. Step 8. Remember the steps to take if you don't get what you need. If your subject teacher does not appear to be willing to give you the accommodations you need, don't get angry. Maintain your politeness and your composure. There must be a reason. You have supports as well. You can refer to me, Mrs. Deere, your special education teacher, or your IEP, which has your legal rights in writing. But you must remember, if you are asking for your accommodations at the last minute, when your teacher has already offered them to you, you must remember that you cannot expect that much lenience. You have to be prepared for what you need. Step 9, always thank your teacher for giving you any accommodations that they are willing to give you. Always remember to be appreciative. Lastly, thank the teacher for their time. No matter how the meeting goes, always remember to thank the teacher for their time. Now, when asking for your accommodations, you might encounter difficulties. You may be shy or introverted, and you may be embarrassed. But you're entitled to these accommodations, and it is your responsibility to ask for them. Now, think back to the original scenario. Go back and read it if you need to. Write down on a sheet of paper what you should do according to the steps provided and share those new ideas with the class. Thank you very much for listening, class. Now please make sure you've filled out the 10 steps flowchart and you've written your ideas down on a sheet of paper. See you next time.